Hello everyone, John Russell here with Corporatist Nation, here to discuss the charade that is the Joe Biden, is he going to run or is he not? The bottom line is here, we are being duped, or at least that's the idea behind this faux conflict that Joe Biden is having with himself as to whether or not he's going to run. Make no mistake about it, Joe Biden is the Democratic side of the one-party system's key to having an establishment candidate on the ballot in 2016. The fact of the matter is, the establishment cannot afford to have a populist candidate like Bernie Sanders on the ballot and have even an off chance of losing their position in the White House. Because remember, what we have is a faux democracy. It is money oriented exclusively, and money always wins, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican in the White House. The Hillary Clinton latest scandal here with Benghazi, we have to say that if we're honest with ourselves, that she must bear some responsibility for that debacle that occurred over there with having insufficient security at the Benghazi compound. So we can look for the possibility that Hillary Clinton will be severely damaged by these hearings. Now, quite frankly, the establishment cannot afford to have a one-sided affair going into the 2016 election, which with having only one option in a two-option system. Bernie Sanders is growing in his support daily, and that is not good. I talk to people all the time that are libertarian, that while they have a liking for Trump, they really want, I was told today by a woman that I speak with once in a while at work, who said, listen, we're looking for something different than we've had in the last 20 or 30 years. And, you know, Trump offers something in that regard. But Bernie Sanders offers the real answers to working people, fairly thought out, across the political spectrum of opinion. Clinton is not well liked except by a certain cohort in the Democratic Party. She has plenty of baggage going way back, but on the opposing side of this corporate candidate dilemma in the Democratic Party as to whether or not she will prevail in her position as the so-called designated appointee to be the Democratic nominee, the problem is Joe Biden has a whole history behind him that is not so favorable once the claws come out, if he ends up getting in the campaign. And mark my words, he will only pop into the Democratic primary if and when Hillary Clinton is seen to be damaged enough that she cannot be considered a viable general election option. And when you look at what she said the other night in the debate, she's already hurt herself. She's hurt herself with gun owners. She's hurt herself on foreign policy. I mean, does anybody here really think that we should be trying to enforce a no-fly zone in Syria against the Russian Air Force? I mean, does anybody here really want to start World War III? Because that's a good way to do it. Let's talk about Joe Biden for a minute. 1988. According to the Slate article in August of 1988, Joe Biden began the race as a long shot, and this occurred when Gary Hart, who was the designated appointee at the time, got into some trouble with a woman by the name of Donna Rice. You can look this up. So here he is now in 2015 playing sort of the same role, one could say. So what happened with Biden back then is he heard a guy by the name of Neil Kinnock. He was a British Labour leader who was quite the orator and made some very nice points in a powerful speech about his rise from humble roots. Well, Joe Biden started, he liked this speech, and he started talking about the same sorts of things applying to him as did Neil Kinnock. And initially, he gave a tribute to Neil Kinnock as being the inspiration for his little talk. But then what happened? He stopped giving the attributes to Neil Kinnock and started taking it upon himself to hold these thoughts and words as being his own. And so finally got caught, and there was a problem. Of course, he had a history of this same sort of thing in college. So if you don't think that's going to come out when he gets going, if he gets going, when Hillary takes the final trip and fall and breaks her leg with whatever she has to say in this Benghazi hearing, then, you know, we're playing a weak hand in the corporatist arrangement here in whoever is going to pop to the top finally and stick on the Republican side, corporate person on the Republican side, and that includes Donald Trump, versus corporate person on the Democratic side. The only person in the entire race that is not of corporate ancestry is Bernie Sanders. So people need to think and recognize what is going on here. Joe Biden, contingency plan, but it's not supposed to look like a contingency plan. But of course it is, if you really think about it. Joe Biden is there, and he'll only make this decision, this very, very, very difficult decision, when Hillary finally takes a tumble. You can bet on it. I'm John Russell, and this is Corporatist Nation, bringing you analysis and insight on where we are presently. Here we are in October 2015. Thanks for watching. Please try and think about what I've said here and take a look at all the candidates, especially Bernie Sanders. Thanks a lot.